You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is time to rock out once again with your favorite bi-weekly source for all things options related. Yes, what the cool kids call the old OB. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network. Hope you had a good weekend. We're out of the gate hot yet again for another start to the trading week, so should be a fun time. Speaking of fun times, if you want to join us for more fun times here, head on over to the pro, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn all about that fun as we learn who is joining us on this fine Monday edition of the old OB. Out to the hinterlands of Chicago we go first for the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tusaw, and then to the dark, stormy, hellacious, nightmarish shores of Maine, where we are joined once again by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them both now, listeners, because there's no time for messing about. It is only time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right, I hold the card in my hand, selected immediately before the show. I just waved it in front of the lens, so you might have seen the answer if you looked quickly. But I digress. All right, gentlemen, get your hands on your buzzers. I shall choose the color today because, once again, I was busy pre-show and did not put out a poll for the audience. But we're going to go green. We haven't done a lot of green lately, so we're going to go science and nature. All right, gentlemen, get your hands on your buzzers. This one's a straightforward one. You just got to know what it is. The question is, what is a somnambulist?
Buzz.
There you go.
Wow.
Mr. Rock Lobster. That's kind of an easy one if you know that one. Mr. Rock Lobster, what is it?
Oh, gosh. It's somebody who sleeps or studies sleep.
I want to give you a half point. Mr. Uncle Mike, can you steal?
Someone who suffers from not being able to wake up easily and sleeps too much.
Oh, I can't give a full point to you, Mr. Rock Lobster, but that's pretty. You're halfway there because you knew it was sleep. It's a sleepwalker. A somnambulist is a sleepwalker. That's another.
Oh, ambulist. Oh my gosh.
It's a fancy term for a sleepwalker, kind of like numismatist, a fancy term for a coin collector. Yeah, it's a sleep. I thought you were about to say it. You were halfway there. You started saying sleep. I was like, all right, here we go. And then no.
I just, yeah.
But it's not a sleepwalker, so he should not get a point for that.
I don't even know if I could take a half a point for that.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
I was trying to be generous.
I hear you. I hear you. I was halfway there, but it's the ambulance part. It's half right. I have to say I'm half right, but
I'm saying
on the spread, I got my butt kicked on. I was half right. I was right on the put side of it, but the calls, so I mean, I was half right.
Well, if you had closed it aggressively, maybe you would have gotten some money out of it. Like Uncle, if Rock Lobster had just said sleep and stopped, maybe he could have gotten half a point. You guys are lucky you're not playing me, is all I'm saying. So no points for anybody out there this week, listeners, as we keep rolling into a little bit of the old trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, everybody, let's get down to business. A little bit of what's trading out here. And we had another wild weekend here. Yet again, literal weekend risk playing out over the weekend. We've been talking for a while about the once and future Dr. Vix's secret weekend UVIX trade, trying to find ways to improve it. He thinks he's hit on a way to add at least a few basis points to it. And not an insignificant amount, actually. He likes doing it now on the open on Fridays as opposed to later on in the session, which is something we were kind of backing into ourselves as well. We were always finding ourselves saying, I'm kind of buying it right at the end of vol views or maybe a little bit earlier. So he's just putting it all the way back. Usually that's a recipe for disaster, all that delta risk in a product like UVIX going into a weekend. But these days, and indeed, if he back tested it all the way out for several years, it does improve things. Why am I saying that? Because we had yet more examples of literal weekend risk coming in over the weekend. Trump deciding apparently we're going to obliterate all of the energy infrastructure in Iran unless they open up the straits in 48 hours. Predictably, the response to that was, I think, lukewarm at best, to put it mildly, out there. So he came in this morning and once again, just flipping the script. I'm already seeing the headlines. Did Trump do the taco trade again? Which is, of course, the Trump always chickens out trade, because he comes in this morning saying, forget about what I said yesterday. We're going to do the opposite. We're talking with Iran. We had fantastic conversations. So I'm pausing everything for 5 days. Forgetting the fact that everyone's asking, who are you talking to? Because everyone there is either dead or scrambling for cover and not going to answer the phone when DC calls, because that has been proven to be a one-way ticket to the afterlife over there. So it turns out Iran comes out an hour later, says, we're not talking with anyone over there. It turns out they're talking apparently to people in Europe or exile, whatever the case may be. So a lot of folks are saying, here we go. Here's the taco trade again. I have been saying for a while now, it does seem like the last few weeks we've had this pattern playing out where they test the waters with something over the weekend. The response is not what they expect. So they do the conciliatory gesture, the grand conciliatory gesture. We saw it last week. Markets closed green. We saw it the week before. We had some green days to start the week. So it does kill that weekend vol trade. I guess the play now is just to hold that trade if you want to hold it all the way through past the open on Monday. But all that a long way around to saying right now we are still green, even if we are retreating off the highs we got up to. Got up to almost 66.5 in the S&P. So it was just a catapult, a cannon out of the gate, up over 2% in most of the major indices. We're seeing that dial back now as the actual details of who we are, or perhaps more importantly, aren't talking to over there in Iran are starting to become known. S&P up about 1.2% now. So retreating off that high, about 70 to 80 handles, still north of the 6,500 strike, which you will recall we were talking about on TWIFO last week. A ton of action on those 6,500 puts expiring in one day on Thursday when we talked about them. Seemed like that trade was dead when we closed green on Thursday, and then lo and behold, blow through 6,500 on Friday. So those puts ended up paying off, which is absolutely wild. But again, today up about 1.2%, Dow up about 1.33%, NASDAQ up about 1.2%, and VIX cash flirting around the 26 level right now, which puts it up about 1 point. Let's see, how high do we get intraday? We actually got up to almost, this is showing a 31. I might find that a little bit dubious, but we shall see out there. I'll have to ask the once future and present Dr. Vix which pre-market level he chooses to deign official. But I'm looking at a 31 here right now, which does seem kind of wild. VVIX at a 121. That puts us down 4 points from the Thursday show. So a lot going on out there when, once again, the markets are hanging on headlines on pretty much for every trade these days. We're going to see a lot of this back and forth. All right, out to the land of the Rock Lobster first. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir. Quite simply, another wild weekend, another wild start to the week. What is catching your eye?
Oh, this morning I looked at my phone, I guess, early, 6:30, and the S&P 500 was down like another 1%. Looks like ES was down 70, 80 points. VIX, my 30 alert hit. And it looked like we're just going to have more of an ugly day. And then some kind of negotiation tweet came out. And, and markets reversed. I think we're up 2% at one point. Metals reversed, oil prices down. So again, this is very much how this is going to end up. And at this point, I don't know. I don't think Iran knows. I don't think we know. I think what is clear, I believe, is the pressure is going to stay on. And how that plays out in the Strait of Hormuz. And I do believe this will be the beginning of the end of the Strait of Hormuz as any kind of, let's just call it was the easy oil infrastructure play. And now I'm going to guess a lot of other states in the Persian Gulf are going to find other ways to get oil out of there instead of using Persian Gulf. I don't know. Whatever the deal is. But as far as another thing I would mention here is, wars cost money, even the current one. I realize we spend $1 trillion, like I can't even imagine what the budget is. I don't even think the Pentagon knows what they spend on defense, because they haven't passed an audit in 2 or 3 years. Which is just another problem government has with spending money that we don't know where it goes. And treasury bonds are up like a blip today, barely a blip. They're trading currently at a 6-month low. And again, the squeeze, higher oil prices, this is all reversing. Most of what we saw until January. So bond prices are not getting a lift. And I think, if rates and inflation and all that was truly going down, you would see a little bit better response from bond prices. So you have to look at this and go, again, it is a big dust up. It is major for many industries. There's there's a lot of unknowns out there. What was it? Donald Rumsfeld back in 1990. What was it? 2003, 2004, right? We have Afghanistan, then we had Iraq, and there are a lot of, what are the unknown unknowns? Are the unknown knowns, or all that kind of whatever that rhetoric was. Right now, I think the known is world. A big part of oil comes through the Persian Gulf. It's not all the world's oil, but it's a big chunk of it, which would cause gas prices to go up quite a bit. Also, there's a lot of other stuff, I guess, fertilizers, a lot of fertilizer plants. So, again, it's a mess. It is a mess. And the markets are the markets are doing their best to try to figure out what's going on. And and at this point, I don't know. Today looked like a bit of a bounce day. And Ultimately, the question is how much punishment can Iran take, and how much are I don't know who the actual allies are right now. It looks like Israel, the U.S. Maybe there's a couple of the countries there. If they can do anything to uh, turn the ship around without using too many. It's just wait and see. I guess we're 3 weeks in. This is a major thing. I think everybody, the markets in general, have been used to a one-day end fix. We had Bernanke did this with QE, and then we had after Bernanke, who do we have? We had a Yellen, and then we had Powell. Like just being able to just fix the markets or continue print money. And at this point, we're going to need something on the ground actually to improve. And again, Congress, I believe they're debating the Voting Act. Not doing a whole lot though to cut spending, cut waste, cut any. So all the things that might contribute it to the market getting a little more of a footing, not really seeing it at the current. Oh, anyway, I mean, ultimately you can watch whatever you want, but whatever the next headline coming out of the Persian Gulf is, and I think that's the biggest headline. I think as a footnote, Nvidia had quite a show last week. The AI thing is still going strong. The hyperscalers are still most of Nvidia's revenue. They are spending furiously on this. I think that might have put a little bit of a cap on Nvidia as a price for their stock. Maybe even opening the door for some competition like AMD. But so, I think that thing is still, that sort of technology improvement is still there. It's not stopping, and it's moving forward every day. And as soon as the headlines kind of pull back the sheet somewhat here, what's going on in the Persian Gulf, then start looking at other economic factors, earnings and all that kind of stuff. But right now, there's just too big of a mess going on.
Too big of a mess indeed. Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you. What was going through your mind as we were just rocketing out of the gate this morning? It might have been even too fast for your buy button finger to keep up with. And then what's been catching your eye ever since, sir?
I called my Uncle Donald. Like I said, hey, we need some buyers today. So he's like, all right, I'll put off some bombing for 5 days. So that's just kind of how it worked. But yeah, it just shows how crazy the headline risk is with this market and how you need to be prepared for it. It's funny you should mention the bonds, Andrew, because earlier in the day, they did get a pop. But then if you look at the action, I'm just bringing up TLT, for example. Just after 10 o'clock Central Time, TLT was at 86.73, up another full percentage point from where it is right now. And then it's just gone right back to the 86 level. So we have not had, I agree with what you're saying, we just have not had any type of bump in the treasuries. But we did earlier, and then it just kind of went away. So that's definitely not to take or spoiler alert for Around the Block, that's definitely something that I'm going to be watching very closely over the next couple days, will be the treasuries. VIX is a little above 26, so we're not really getting a major drop in the VIX, so to speak. Of course, there's the weekend factor that the boys at the option pit always do a great job of analyzing. But nonetheless, if everything is okay, so to speak, then the VIX would definitely not be at 26, if you will. Split ticket in the metals today, in the precious metals, just looking at GLD, down over 2%. SLV is up 2%. So we're not getting a major move there either with anything happening. And then in terms of the different sectors of the stocks, Russell 2000, that's still up 2% on the day. So the Russell, just looking at IWM, that was up at 251 at one point today. It's still it's still at 247. So it's still up over 5 handles on the day, but it was definitely a lot higher. S&P mid caps, those are up over 2% on the day as well. So off the highs, but definitely higher. So we are getting a lot of significant movements in the smaller stocks, but definitely off the highs. That is for sure. Oil, of course, down roughly 8% on the day. So we're obviously getting a sell-off in oil because might be better again, theoretically, but you never know. And then aside from that, I don't have any major individual names that are sticking out too much, but this is just a headline risk market at this stage. It's either what's going to happen. I think for the short term, throw your technical analysis out the window, throw your fundamental analysis out the window, and just, I hate to say it, but just watch the news to see what happens. If you want to know what's really happening and how the world is really reacting to it, once again, I want to go back to the only real true news source in existence, in my opinion. That is a chart of the S&P 500. That is my take on things.
Let's see what the overall options market take on things is today. Shall we, listeners? Out to the realm of VIX we go. And you know, when things are exploding out of the gate and things are rocketing all over the place, VIX is going to put up some numbers, and that was the case. We are already at 800,000 contracts on the tape out there, listeners. So a pretty spicy start to the day. Seems like things are quieting down a little bit out there right now as we're starting to digest this latest realm of news. As always, with DC, you have to kind of read past the highlights and the headlines a little bit, past the immediate declarations of victory, and see what's really going on. And that's what the market seems to be doing right now. But it is amounting to a heck of a lot of paper. Again, 800,000 contracts, the ADV 1.1 million. So unless VIX really just falls asleep the second half of the day, which has happened, we have seen that happen before, we probably will hit that ADV today. The hot option out there in VIX land today, Strike, some of you may have thought, was in the rear view mirror out there, listeners. It's the 30s. The 30s lighting it up today. 60,000, almost 61,000 times today for about exactly $2. These are, of course, the April 30s going away on tax day, listeners. And looks like, obviously, there is OI on this strike, so someone could have been bailing on these, which, again, if you heard the conciliatory news out of DC this morning, maybe you're like, I'm heading for the exits on my 30s, I'm out. But either way, they're trading for $2 pretty fast and furious. Thought we'd ask you folks, what do you think about those for $2? You want to straight buy them? You want to straight sell them? Or maybe you want to buy them in a spread, so obviously you're selling something else against them. Or maybe you want to sell them as part of the spread, so maybe you want to buy, let's say, the 25s or the 22s and sell the 30s. Right now, we are split. That just went live a few minutes ago. 50% of you want to straight buy them, and 50% of you want to buy something else and sell these as part of a spread. Get over there at options and make your voice heard, just like a lot of you are doing right now in our question of the week about the Fed. We'll come back to that in a little bit. SPY, is it a spicy day in SPY land? The answer is yes, 8.35 million. So pretty much exactly 3 million contracts away from their ADV. So again, unless SPY just completely stops trading, probably going to hit their ADV today. The S, same deal, 3.4 million. The ADV, 5.1 million out there. So the S looking like it's pretty firmly in the right direction today. What's in the right direction for the bulls is freaking like small caps, as Uncle Mike was talking about. Man, getting a heck of a lot of life back today, up 2 1/3%. Let's just look really quickly to see where does that put small caps year to date now. They're still red on the year, but only about 0.5% right now. Obviously, it was looking a lot worse this morning out here. So, man, just a wild year in small caps, and that continues today. 1.55 million contracts, the ADV. 2.3 million. And then our old pal, the Qs were looking hot out of the gate. 4.5 million contracts on the tape for the Qs today. So that's fully 1 million more than we've seen on some pretty active days at this time of the show right now. So the Qs, again, they'd have to kind of just stop trading not to hit their ADV of 5.9 million. But stranger things have happened. Out to the land of the single names we go, listeners. Is it a banger day? You know what? Given just how shot out of a cannon we were today and how everyone was so headline and macro focused, you could be forgiven for expecting maybe the single names to lag behind a little bit, but no. We are actually pretty much exactly at our threshold for respectability. 350 is our threshold. We're at 355 right now. That's what it costs you to break into the top 10. That gets you to our old pal Meta, back above the par strike, which will come as welcome news to all the Meta fanboys and girls out there. 602 right now, up 8.3 or 1.4%. They, of course, sold off to, looks like they got as low, let's see, last week as about 590 before bouncing on Friday. So, been a wild time out there in Meta. Number 10, the artist formerly known as Meta, apparently not that into the metaverse anymore, so I wonder what their new name will be. They're just going to change their name to AI. We'll find out. Number 9, it's Mr. Softy. Can they catch a bid even on a day like today when everything's rocketing out of the gate? Well, they did earlier. They rallied all the way up to 387 in about a quarter. Looks like in true Microsoft fashion, they've given it all back now. They're up about half a buck. So we'll see what the day holds in store for Microsoft. But right now, it seems like they're going to be trending red soon. Microsoft number 9, 374 on the tape. Man, what an absolute dumpster fire this name has been post earnings. They just cannot catch a bid to save their life. Man, what a distant memory the 555 level of October, of last year is looking, and let alone the 481 level back in late January. Remember we were talking about the pars on the hot options report? It seems like such a distant memory. Number 8, Palantir, up 6 1/3, or a little over 4%, trading 157 exactly right now. Interesting because usually cessation of hostilities, maybe not the best thing for Palantir, but they're popping along with everybody else today. Number 8, Palantir, 381 on the tape. Number 7, it's SoFi. They're catching a little bit of a bid today as well. They've had a rough go of it, but looks like they got as high as 1741 there, back down to about 17 bucks exactly, up about 15 cents on the day. So still green, but not quite as lofty as they were. Number 7, SoFi, 397 on the tape. Number 6, Micron. Man, this name, what an absolutely, if it wasn't for all the other headline grabbing news going on, a lot of people would be talking about Micron a lot more these days. Micron, 404 and a half, off $18.36, or about 4.5%. Just a wild, untamed beast. It's still up, even with today's sell-off and the sell-off post-earnings. It's still up $88, or about 28, almost 30% for the year. Again, that's just year-to-date, not even calendar year. So, shot out of a cannon this year, coming back to earth a little bit now, but still just an absolutely wild beast. Number 6, it's Micron. Have you been in on the Micron train, or is it just too unhinged for you, listeners? Number 6, Micron, 427. Number 5, the Amazonians. They're getting a nice shot in the arm today. 210 and a half, up 5 1/4, or about 2.6%. I guess maybe the prospect of Iran not bombing all of their data centers in the Middle East, probably a good thing, or more buyers and sellers. Number 5, 460 on the tape for the Amazonians. Number 3, Super Micro Computer. Man, they came for this one hard on Friday. So they sold off to about 20, and actually I think they broke the 20. I got to 19 and a half, looks like, out there. That was today. Actually got to 19 and a half today. So they were looking at 19 and a half today before rallying. They are now 21, about 21 and a half, up about a buck, or about 5%. So getting back some of their lost luster. I think we were talking, was it the 20 puts? I think it was 20 puts on Thor recently. So those were looking spicy this morning. Maybe not as much now, but I think people were drawing a pretty aggressive line in the sand. We shall see. Number 4, SMCI, looking pretty spicy today as well. Number 3, the Fruit Company. What are they up to? They're up 270, or about 1%, trading 250.70 out there. Good for number 3, 695 on the tape. For the Fruit Company, number 2, I think you pronounce this, Envida, trading 175.18, up 2 1/4, 1.3%. Good for 1.86 million contracts on the tape. And the big dog today, at least for right now, it's Tesla. Coming roaring out of the gate today. They're up $9.17, or 2.5%, trading 377.13. They got as high as 385 1/3 in this kind of shot out of the cannon mode everyone was in this morning. They looks like they're drifting back to earth a little bit now, and obviously still a far cry from the par strike that was trading fast and furious last week. Either way, number 1 is Tesla, 2.15 million. You want to see what the hot option in Tesla is today? Well, stay tuned for the hot options report wherever you find your favorite podcast, listeners. In terms of earnings, there still are some names. People are still paying attention to single name risk in this completely macro driven market. I know it's insane, but tomorrow we've got GameStop. I think they are after the bell, as I recall here. So GameStop popping off, as well as Beyond Meat after the bell on Wednesday. Remember when they were the hot one for a while? Them and Impossible seems like they've cooled a little bit. Maybe they can get some of that spice back in their lives on Wednesday after the bell. We got Chewy before the bell on Wednesday as well. And then on Friday, we've got Carnival. There's been a lot of action in the cruise lines of late as well. So a lot of interesting stuff out there. A lot of names still keep an eye on out there. I mean, everyone's excited about BitGo after the bell on Thursday. I mean, who can contain themselves? When BitGo's on the docket, you can't really pay it. What war in the Middle East? Everyone's all on a BitGo. You want to check out all the earnings move results, and earnings season reports. You know where to go. TheOptionsInsider.com. Click on the Options News and Articles tab to check it all out for yourselves as we check out what's lighting up the weird side of the tape today. It's time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by TheOptionsInsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's get weird. Let's get wild. Let's see what the odd gods of the options market have in store for us today, shall we, listeners? This first one is a newcomer because I would remember a name like this. This is TetraTech Inc., ticker symbol TTEK, TTEK, trading 31 and a quarter, up about 90 cents or nearly 3%. This is a consulting and engineering services firm based in Pasadena. So I'm going to guess they probably do a lot of things around, I don't know, AI. Pasadena seems like a good place to do AI consulting. It's like they consult in a lot of things out here. But either way, a newcomer to the program and indeed to the network. Again, up about 3% today. On the year, they're up about 6.5% or nearly $2. So it's not quite the unhinged beast I was expecting. So maybe they're not an AI consultant out there. They were, again, about a little bit shy of $30 a year ago. And they shot up in February, right around Valentine's Day. It's like they hit a pretty lofty level, $43.14. And then immediately fell out of bed. By February 12th, they were $35 again. By February 24th, they were $32. So maybe I misspoke. Maybe this is an AI name. They certainly had quite a frenzy there, whatever was going on out there in TTEK. I'll have to go dig into the news and see what was going on. Was there a bid for them and then it fell apart? Earnings, something crazy. They were tapped to modernize the global defense supply chain. So this could be a defense name out here as well. So they had a $99 million deal. So they are involved in the defense trade apparently out there as well. That's one of their apparently things they consult upon. Either way, what was lighting up the tape out here today, listeners? Somebody came in and looks like they wanted a little bit of a nibble. They said with the stock 3109, so pretty much a little bit lower than it is right now, about 20 cents. They said June 30s, how are they? So an in-the-money strike, again, an interesting choice. They got 280 at 370, so that's a pretty terrible market. But then again, it is TTEK, listeners. And they said, you know what, good sir, I like the cut of your jib. I will pay $3.65. I'll get a whole whopping nickel of price improvement. I will do that 3,000 times, good sir. Between now and June expiration, you're going to get one announcement. It's on May 6th, so factor that into your model. Maybe you like these a little bit better. The stock is up a little bit. I wouldn't say this is a wild candidate for stock replacement. If they had come in back in February when it was $43, probably a better candidate then. But it could be argued maybe this is a bit of a take some stock off the board type of trade. But either way, Mr. Rock Lobster, it's a new name, which is kind of fun. It's apparently defense related out here, which also casts it in an interesting light. And they're doing some meaty calls out to June. What say you, sir? This is the portion of the show where you unmute yourselves and express your wisdom to the people. There we go.
It would help if I did that. I don't like having it on when Tucson's talking. It looks like it's some kind of water, environmental, green thing company. A global provider of consulting and engineering services.
My thing is showing a comparable as Palantir, so that sounds like the opposite of what you're saying. But I don't know. I'm going to go dig in and see.
Exactly, and you know, this is like I've sent some notes to LiveVol on this quite a bit. The business summary that they provide does not necessarily jibe with actually what is going on, I think.
You're describing some hippy dippy name. Meanwhile, they're comparable to Palantir. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And literally, I'm just reading what I see on LiveVol here. And I think you almost get a better information than StockTwits, but I don't know. Anyway, it's listed on the Nasdaq. I almost thought TetraTech was like TetraPak was a container company for liquids, but what do I know? Anyway,
I think they are the global license holder for Tetris. If you want to license Tetris, you contact them.
Well, I guess that that is technology, and didn't the Russians invent it? So now it's spooky spy technology.
You might be right, because now that I asked the AI, and the AI, of course, they are all knowing. They say they are environmental and water management. So I'm getting two different stories from a bunch of different AIs. The robot overlords don't know what they're doing yet, Mr. Rock Lobster.
I will say, though, the stock is perilously close to its 30-day low. 30-day low is in the mid-high 20s. It's trading 30 and change. Up some today. Maybe there might be needs for water infrastructure after this whole Persian Gulf thing is over. So yeah, I don't, again, the 30 calls for $3.65. It feels kind of like a nice meaty time to get long some calls. So, and this is, it appears like you would trade, these calls are 30, 20, was that 33.65? Yeah, it appears that's just good old fashioned call buying. Although, I never like to see our call buyers down, that they trade. That's what it appears right now. So there's a little bit of sadness in TetraTech land as of right now.
Sadness indeed, but you're right. If they are water consultants, I suppose all these threats to destroy all the desalination, they might need some water consultants after that. So maybe that's why they're a roundabout defense play in all this, Mr. Rock Lobster. But yeah, absolutely. While our chat's asking if anyone's heard of this name, no one knows this name. So apparently, it is mystifying to the AI overlords and to our listeners out there as well. But a new one to add to our dossier here to keep track of, listeners. As we keep rolling, let's go out to an old-fashioned name. A name everybody knows what the hell they do. And a name we haven't talked about in a little bit out here. In fact, I was just going to look to see when the last time was we talked about this name, listeners. Because it's our old pal Goodyear. Goodyear Tire and Rubber, ticker symbol GT. 640 up about a quarter today, or nearly 4%. So a good day for tires and rubber. Listeners, on the year, has it been a banger year for tires and rubber? And I think you could probably go out and expect a year when your input costs are skyrocketing at the beginning of the year with tariffs, or more recently, due to the onset of hostilities in Iran, your input costs, obviously, petroleum, a key input of rubber, and all the things that they make over there at Goodyear. Not surprising, they've been pretty much shellacked. They're off 32% year to date, a little over $3. And over the last month, they've lost 2 1/3 of that, or about 27%. So it has been a beating. So maybe not a surprise that a potential détente in the Middle East causing a little bit of a pop in Goodyear. They got as high as about $6.50 this morning. So nice little move here for Goodyear. Let's see what we spotted. Everyone's going out to June today. Apparently it's the day for the June cycle, Mr. Rock Lobster. I didn't get my note. Perhaps you did, that today is the day to only trade June. But we got somebody coming in today and saying, you know what? I think we're due for a little bit of a turnaround in this whole rubber thing. I'm going to say June 8ths. How are they? He got 25 cents at 30. He said, once again, I like the cut of your jib, sure. I will pay 29 cents, 9,418 times. Once again, you're getting earnings. In fact, this is a very similar trade because they also have earnings on the exact same day as TTEK. May 6th, so apparently you're only allowed to trade June options today on names that are reporting on May 6th. But Mr. Rock Lobster, are you down for what they're saying here? A little bit of a turnaround by June in all things Goodyear, tire, and rubber, sir?
I bet you the last time we looked at Goodyear, there was a activist investor.
They were making some headlines last year, as I recall, yeah.
Yeah. No, would they, they Goodyear, Cooper. What's amazing is they sell $18 billion a year worth of tires, and the company market cap is $1.7 billion. That is not a lot. And they make good tires, but I guess tire business is a tough business. Anyway, yeah, I guess the thought is things would be over by June or have better clarity by June. So, and what's funny is another stocks that have gotten hit during all this was anything petroleum related. So like, Lululemon, all their clothes are all petroleum. They got kind of hit, although they're rebounding a little bit. But who would think those see-through yoga pants and tires are all made out of petroleum products? Who knew? Anyway, I guess it looks like a value play down here, Goodyear tires. It was $10, now it's $6. I would assume people are still buying cars in the future, so it's probably not a bad play, but it's definitely just rung in a 52-week low down here. And I wonder if it's on my new flashing scanner. I betcha. But I don't think a June call buy is a bad idea. Get you a little past. I think the 8 calls for 29 cents. I think the stock could be $8 very easily. So I don't know. I kind of like that one. I like the price. I like the time. That's a decent purchase.
Speaking of decent purchase, I knew we had talked about this. I wanted to say Q3 or Q4 of last year. It looks like that was about the ballpark. We last talked about Goodyear here September 22nd on the show. We talked about a very similar trade as well. The stock a little higher, listeners. The stock was $8.35. And somebody once again was feeling their oats. Not the same size, but a similar size as well. And somebody came in and said, Nove 10s, how are they? They got 15 at 25. Same playbook. They paid 1 penny better. They said, I will pay 24 cents. This time, 6,250 times, listeners. And I'm looking here to see. Okay. And looks like the stock closed at $8.10. So they got a little bit too big for their britches, listeners. They did not work out. But you know what? They did not. If they rode them all the way to expiration, they would have lost about $150,000 exactly on this. But it looks like they bailed on these a couple of days later. They bailed on them for a dime on the 29th. So pretty much exactly a week later. So, oh, you know what? Earnings are on the 3rd. So this was, that's November 3rd. So this was not an earnings trade either. So it looks like they bailed on them on the 9th for a dime. So they got cut more than in half, then said, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge, taking my dime and living to fight another day. Looks like they spread them somewhere else. I'll have to go see where they spread them off to. But Mr. Rock Lobster, I guess we have seen this movie before. Someone rolling the bones to the upside. I don't know. You like these calls, or is the stock cheap enough, Mr. Rock Lobster? Would you just buy the stock here?
I think this one is you buy a couple calls to. I think I think you just buy the stock.
The Viceroy is not here. I'll have to say it for him. And this one, just buy the stock. If you like this one, don't mess about.
Buy the stock, and you probably get an easy double out of it.
Yeah.
And be happy.
52-week low. If you like it, then take a little bit of a nibble, Viceroy style, And
Although, you buy a 10 lot of calls for 29 cents in June, it is somewhat enticing.
no, yeah, you're right. It's not. I mean, it's a low vol. It's pretty attractive from a net outlay perspective as well. So hey, you do you, listeners. We've given you two options, pun intended, on how to play. If you like yourself a little bit of a rubber rebound, see what I did there? As we keep on rolling into a little bit of the old Monday strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, while I go investigate some potential trading opportunities in Goodyear Tire, what you got for the folks, sir?
Hey, you always got to get that rubber bounce, right? So today, oldie but a goodie. I've talked about this a lot on the show, but I think it's pretty applicable today. And the reason I think it's applicable is because I just applied it to our portfolios. So we're in a new expiration cycle for covered calls. Yes, I'm one of those old fogies that still does monthly covered calls. With that, if you are looking to sell some premium on a stock that's, say, maybe down in value, your covered calls have already expired worthless, or you've closed them out for a smaller portion than what you sold them for, whatever the case may be. One thing that you're probably noticing this month or this time around is two things. Number one, there's more premium than there was last month. Of course, that's because we have higher volatility. Might not be true with every stock, but it probably is, with most of them, I should say. And then the other thing is that you might not be able to sell the same strike price that you sold last month, because this month you're only getting a couple of pennies because it's so far out of the money because the stock went down. Well, in this case, for us, what we do in situations like this, if we still like the stock and we don't want to be that guy that buys high and sells low, because that's what you do in covered calls when you sell a higher strike price and then the stock goes down, and then you sell a lower strike price and the stock rebounds and you get called out lower. You never want to be that guy. But on the flip side, we still want to be in the covered call trade. So we don't want to just hold the stock, although that is a choice that you can make, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Wait till it goes higher to sell the same strike price again, perhaps. But what we did was we sold a call spread. So let's say that XYZ stock is trading at 100, and you've been selling the 100 covered call on it for months on end. It's just like a nice income source for you. Now all of a sudden the darn thing's down at 92, and the 100 calls aren't paying you anything anymore. Well, one thing that you could consider doing is maybe sell a 92 half call. That would be the covered call. And then at the same time, with that extra income that you took in from the call, maybe buy a 95 call. By doing that, you're not going to get as much income as just selling the 92 half call, but you're still going to get some income. There still will be some money left over. Now, of course, I'm giving one example on a stock that doesn't exist with XYZ stock, but and every stock's going to be different, but it's something to consider. Because let's say that we do have a flat market over the course of the next month. Well, you'll still get some premium. You won't get as much as you had wanted, but you'll still get some premium by selling this call spread. However, let's say the stock bounces right back to 100. If that's the case, then you'll get to be a part of it. The only thing you'll be missing out on is between 92 half and 95 minus the premium you collect. And that's a way with which you can continue to have success in a covered call plan. Still get some premium. You're not going to get as much premium, but no matter what you do, regardless of the option trades, it's all about trading a trade out. You're trading some of the guaranteed money you would get with the premium for some potential upside, just in case that stock does go back to the 100 level, and you don't want to be that guy that buys high and sells low. Not saying this is perfect for everybody. There are situations that we would be selling 92 calls and 95 calls in this situation, and we have done that a little bit this month with a couple stocks. But if you want to have another tool for your toolbox, this is something that I really like. And that is the strategy for today, the first strategy block of spring.
That it is indeed, as we keep on going into a little bit of the old mail block.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the Mail Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Mail Block. Let's check in with the chat here really quick. A lot of folks are intrigued by Goodyear tire. They're kind of stroking their chins in, let's say, intrigue about that. I have to admit, I was looking at some things in Goodyear myself while Uncle Mike was talking. I don't get a lot of time to trade here. I'm always doing these shows, listeners. So that's my time to trade when Uncle Mike is talking. And then, of course, we've got folks joking about our Vol death matches and loving the fact that the Rock Lobster still cannot master the mute button after all his years on the network. Option Guy wants to know if I sold any UVIX puts on the open again this week. Yes, actually, I did. Maybe we'll get into that. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit of fun there, a little bit of a live trading session. But yeah, that's kind of my early week kind of line in the sand for UVIX has been working out pretty well. And I did do that again today out there. In terms of our questions of the week, what we're asking you folks out there right now, looks like you folks are going back and forth. 50% of you still want to buy those April 30s for $2. 25% want to straight sell them. And then 25% want to sell them, but do it in a more risk-mitigated fashion as part of a spread. I have to say I like that a lot better than straight selling them, but hey, you do you out there, listeners. We asked you also just kind of a very straightforward question this week. We've done a lot of geopolitical stuff and everything lately. Let's get away from that. Let's just go straight 10,000 foot for the rest of the year. Do you think the Fed will cut again this year? Just straight yes, straight no. No silly third answer or anything like that. You folks are having a hard time making up your mind. It was pretty firmly out of the gate, yes, 60+%. Now it's starting to get close to 50-50. Actually, no, I take it back. It just ticked as we were talking. It is now 51.9% for no, 48.1% for yes. So apparently some folks have looked at the Fed watch before they responded, which, by the way, someone replied and said, oh, didn't they already do the math on this? Yes, they did. But you know what? Our audience at the end of the day, 10x more accurate than any Fed watch tool. I will put our listeners up against any other analytic or metric you want to throw out there right now. So this one obviously contentious. This one obviously hot and heavy. If you believe the Fed watch, the answer is no. But if you believe our listeners, it's a much more contentious issue. At Options is the place to go to make your voice heard as we go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block. And let's check in really quickly. What's going on in these wild whipsaw markets as we're coming into the end of the show? It seems like we're back in a rally ho mode again. S&P up about 1.5%, Dow up 1.8%. And the NASDAQ up 1.5%. VIX cash, excuse me, still got a little bit of that Boca flu lurking in my lungs. Let me pop a lozenge before I continue. All right, there we go. The S&P up about 1.5%, NASDAQ up about 1.5%, and the VIX cash down to about 25 1/3 out there, so off about 2/3 of a point. From where we started the show, around the horn we go. Mr. Rock Lobster, first off, what are your thoughts? You think the Fed's going to cut again this year, yes or no? And then B, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week besides loading up on Goodyear?
I guess I'm going to say no. I don't think the Fed cuts anymore. No reason to cut. The government's a joke. Congress is a joke. The Fed's
the government's a joke.
Stop spending money.
Tell us how you really feel, sir.
I don't get it. Somehow, that COVID spending has now been normalized. It was the worst thing. It's like giving smack to a junkie. Terrible. So I'm going to say no.
I did hear a rumor you've been responding to politicians on Twitter, sir. So are you on some lists now?
I'm responding to politicians. I do just sometimes. I just grump.
You're on the FBI's grump list?
Yeah, on the FBI, because why do you guys do nothing and get paid? Never has so many done so little for so much.
What do you keep an eye on for the rest of the week, sir?
the only thing there is to keep an eye on. Look for opportunities to buy stocks at lower prices, and hope that this situation rights itself. So just mostly, there's the headline, and then there's the next headline. I guess so. I'm waiting for the second headline.
Yeah, the headline after the headline, that is the real headline, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then come and check out my the new Series Club. That's what it is. This is going to give you fodder forever. The new Series Trading Club that I'm running at Option Pit. You can't even believe it. You got to come see it.
Check it out, and then you too can get flashed in the dark alley of your choosing, somewhere between Maine and North Carolina. He will meet you on the East Coast dark alley of your choosing. And if folks want some of that goodness, where should they go, sir?
Optionpit.com, 888-TRADE-01.
There you go. Check them out. And then ask for the Rock Lobster package, because then I get 10% and everyone's happy. Optionpit.com to learn more. Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What do you think about the Fed? Are they going to cut again this year or no? B, what are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week? And C, where should folks go if they want to get more Uncle Mike goodness in their lives?
Well, I agree with everything else Andrew said about the government. Never has anyone been given so much to do so little, or whatever he said. I thought it was brilliant. But with that, I could still see the Fed cutting rates once more this year. Not for any rhyme or reason, but the rhyme or reason that I have is that there is no rhyme or reason to do it, except for the boss wants it, and I could see it happening for that reason, if you will. So there's that. In terms of what I'm watching, continuing to watch the headlines. Great quarterbacks often say, who is your favorite receiver? And when great quarterbacks are asked that question, I should say, their answer is the open one. And so my thing is that where is the opportunity in this market? And I believe the opportunity is going to be where there is a dip. And we have a little bit of a dip in the S&P, so maybe that's where an opportunity is for you. We will see. I'll be watching headlines. I'll also be watching bonds. I'll be watching silver and gold. I'll be watching everything, but primarily, let's be honest, I'm watching the headlines. In terms of if you are looking for a financial advisor who enjoys markets like this, maybe not enjoys them, but is prepared for markets like this, go to my website, stcharleswealth.com. I'll be more than willing and happy and joyous to have a conversation with any of our listeners. Book an appointment with me and check out my YouTube channel. Type in St. Charles Wealth. More content is coming.
stcharleswealth.com is the place to go. Uncle Mike, are you out there responding to politicians on Twitter as well? Are you on some list as well?
They respond to me because I called Uncle Donald and he decided to help me get the market up today.
That's
so they
true.
Respond to me.
That's true. You have the big orange ear. Folks have to listen to you now, sir. So
there you go.
So well done. Check them out, stcharleswealth.com to learn more. And of course, while you're checking things out, check out our friends over there at Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/podcast. You heard them on a lot of our shows these days. Guess what? Because they like you folks here on the network. They got some cool deals, some cool offerings, some cool tools just for you. Check them out, tastytrade.com/podcast. Maybe you're kind of done with your old broker. You want a fresh coat of paint out there. Check them out, tastytrade.com/podcast. We got to get on out of here. Back again in a little bit with our good buddy, Mr. Greg, to break down all the crazy vol going on in the crypto market. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. So stay tuned for that. Should be fun. And then back again after the closing bell to break down all the madness in the world of options with the Hot Options Report. Yet another reason why you should be listening to the full network. And if you like this little Uncle Mike guy, you may have heard of him. He'll be joining us for a pro Q&A tomorrow to tackle all your questions. He was scheduled for last week, of course. Travel issues abounded last week, coming back from the Southern studio, so we moved him to this week. I saw someone mention something about a live trading session in our chat. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that around tomorrow's pro Q&A as well. So if you have some fun trades you want to talk about or some questions, get in there on the pro. You know where to go if you want to join the pro, listeners, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. And then back again on Wednesday for OBC and all that fun until we're back again on Thursday with the Flowmaster, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named TastyTrade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.